Welcome back. Let's talk about Donald Trump. He had one of his famous rallies last night. It was in Flint, Michigan. And he was on great form. He is, of course, a two-time survivor now of presidential assassination attempts. Another one at the weekend, guy hanging around by a golf course for 12 hours. I don't think he was the assassin of the year, but Donald Trump was on fine form talking about it. Let's remind ourselves of the Donald last night in Flint, Michigan.
It's a dangerous business, however, being president. It's a little bit dangerous. It's, you know, they think race car driving is dangerous. No. They think bull riding, that's pretty scary, right? No. This is a dangerous business, and we have to keep it safe.
So, on good form, where are we standing here now? I'm sensing that Trump, you know, he didn't have a good day with the debate. Was that last week?
Last week, only last Tuesday.
Seems like a lot of water under the bridge since then.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was nearly as disastrous as the media tried to make out.
That's right.
We know that he's pretty much neck and neck in the swing states.
Didn't move the needle.
Yeah, so everything's still to pay for. So once again, even though people said, oh, this might be the first TV debate that actually does change the dial, because they traditionally don't, it didn't really. And the assassination attempt at the weekend seems to have buoyed Donald Trump. You feel there's a skip in his step.
Yeah, and that's in spite of the media blaming the victim in this case. You know, of course, all the corporate media in the U.S. came out and said, oh, another assassination attempt because of Trump's horrible rhetoric.
He's got to stop talking like this.
Yeah, I mean, it was just shameless, absolutely shameless. But you're right, Kevin, the debate didn't move the needle. It was a bad night for Trump. It was a missed opportunity, to say the least. But if Kamala was authentic and actually believed in something, I think she would have picked up 2 or 3 points. But because she was so fake and artificial and only spoke in platitudes, she didn't gain. So Trump's bad night did not hurt him. I wish that he had done better, because he would have picked up a few points if he was a little more disciplined. Water under the bridge at this point. It's still a dead heat. I think Trump wins.
It's really interesting, and I'll tell you, funny enough, you know, there's no doubt that Kamala kind of got the better of him on the debate night. Yeah. But ever since then, the momentum has been towards him.
That's right.
One of the, see, you know, I'm controversial on this one. No one has yet disproved that Haitian migrants are eating cats and dogs in Springfield, Ohio. It's all very well to say, oh, nonsense, nonsense. Well, what was the response to that? There were 2 responses. First of all, ABC brilliantly said, oh, well, we found City Hall. You know, basically, that means, oh, is that a City Hall in Springfield? Are you presiding over a hellhole in which people eat their pets? Right. Or would you like to make your city look good? No, that's a complete lie. OK, fair enough. That's nonsense, right?
That's right.
Then they said, what did the police say? They said, we have had no credible reports of pet eating in Springfield, Ohio. Well, credible is the key word there.
Right.
So they have had reports, only they've decided to dismiss them. Now, what the veracity of this claim, in the end, is neither here nor there.
That's right.
The point is, it's got all of America, in fact, the whole world, talking about Kamala's migrant crisis. It wasn't a bad move, was it?
As it turns out, I think it was okay. Now, if I were Trump, I would have preferred to point out Laken Riley, the nursing student who went for a run in the middle of the day at the University of Georgia and was killed by a Venezuelan illegal migrant who, by the way, had been arrested in New York and released by the Soros-backed, you know, pro-bail reform DA who they only prefer to reduce felonies to misdemeanors so the guys don't go to jail. Of course, unless you're Donald Trump, then they elevate misdemeanors to felonies. But that's another story. So, yeah, it was a really... It's interesting, and Kevin, I think one of the reasons the polls haven't moved, and if anything, the momentum is with Trump, as you pointed out, is that once people had a day to digest what Kamala actually said, first of all, there were just blatant falsehoods. I mean, absolute lies, none of which were fact-checked by ABC.
I'm not in charge of the southern border.
No.
Yes, you are.
And there's no military personnel in war zones right now. I saw a great clip of these brave Marines and soldiers that said, you know, that were watching it, and they started cracking up and said, "Where do you think we are?" You know, it's just shameless.
We'll get back to that. I just interrupted to play Nigel Farage was on Jeremy Kyle's show earlier, Drive Time here on Talk. This is Nigel talking about his friend Donald Trump.
Somebody said, just looking at him in that debate and since, that this is a medical person, they wouldn't put it past him that there's a slight PTSD, I never get the word right, PTSD, because he's 76 years of age. Somebody shot a bullet in his head, for goodness sake. Now he's playing golf. Do you see that as a mate? Do you see that? I'm not saying, but he looks to me like he's changed a wee bit.
He wasn't quite himself in that debate. You know, he is normally chest out, the big gorilla alpha male. That's who Donald Trump has always been. And the last half of that debate, he was kind of looking down a bit and was a bit like that. If you've been through a genuine near-death experience, and especially if you think it might happen again, it has to have some effect upon you. So he's going to have to draw from whatever reserves of strength he can find to get really back in this race for the next 50 days, because I want him to win. And frankly, the Western world, I genuinely believe, needs him to win.
I think Nigel's got a good point there. But the other, as we were discussing just now, Greg, what's interesting is since the debate, because so many people are talking about it, partly because of they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Ducks too.
Ducks, well, he didn't mention the ducks, but apparently the ducks are a thing. That has got everyone talking about that debate, and of course what people are remembering is, okay, so he said about eating pets in Springfield, she said nothing.
Right. Nothing at all.
Nothing.
And so it took a little while, a day or two, to digest it, because that night she got under his skin. She definitely looked better. She was, you know, much more confident.
Deliberately goading him successfully.
And it was there was like a lot of psychology, a lot of psyop. You know, she went right out of the gates making fun of his rallies. She knew that would bug him, and it did. And he took the bait, which was a mistake.
He's such an idiot sometimes.
Of course, you know, he drives me crazy, right? But when you digested it, you know, for a day or two, and you realized she lied consistently without any pushback from ABC, from the moderators. Also, very little pushback from Trump, which again was a mistake. But she said nothing. It's all platitudes. People don't buy it. And the dog eating thing was funny, and we were all laughing when it happened. But what it pointed out, again, I would have gone with Laken Riley, who's a poor 23-year-old woman who was killed by this illegal. But just pointing out that Springfield, Ohio is a town of 60,000 hardworking people.
58,000. Look, there's that 20,000 Haitians.
And 20,000 Haitians.
20,000 Haitians imposed on them. That
by Kamala Harris.
That small city has got a welter of terrible social problems because of this.
That's right.
As Greg says,
that's the important issue.
There are very credible reports of migrants eating ducks, taking them from the local parks. So actually, I believe that the eating the dogs moment was a masterstroke.
And like a lot of conspiracy theories, if you want to call it that, they end up being true. Right? If there's evidence, I've seen some video. I can't prove that it's completely cool.
Sure.
But
everybody's talking about it, and the discussion is going in his direction. I've got to finish now, Greg, because I've got to move on.